Hey everyone, welcome to our 18th podcast with Marfione Customs Microtech. I have the most amazing Aaron Quinn from Cobalt. Welcome, brother. How are you?
Good, man. How are you? I remember to
Sorry
speak in here, but
yeah,
just finagle myself around here.
No, I got you. Hey, again, welcome for coming. I know that we've spent a little bit of time, outside of the shop and everything else, just kind of at shows and events and everything else, but thank you for coming. I do appreciate it immensely, and I look forward to spending a little bit more one-on-one time with you. The podcast is going to be fun, but it's always a good thing to get to know, somebody along those lines. I mean, we know so many people in the industry, but, you're definitely one that I gravitate to, in a big way, and I mean that from a personal level, but
appreciate that. I'm humbled to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. I know that, oh God, so many good things to talk about. Where I wanted to kind of start out just in general is that, we love the Cobalt rifles. You've supported Microtech and supported guys on our, on Microtech. You've supported, Ray and I and the guys at the shop, and you've done some amazing things with this brand. Just from your words, I want you to start out, just let our audience know where you've been, and how you got started into this.
So Cobalt's been around since 2014. I actually saw my first Cobalt in 2015. Mm-hmm. It was on a gun store that I used to go into. They brought it in. It was on their wall. And I remember walking in, very distinctly. I actually carry a picture of the rifle that I first saw, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I walked in and I said, I would never own that thing.
I think I know what you're talking about, because I think I remember seeing, my limited experience in the 3-gun is that's where I got a little bit exposed. I think one of the guys that we knew, Bryson Allen, was shooting a Cobalt, mm-hmm. and some of the other guys, and they look like space guns.
Yeah, I probably didn't describe it as that back then, but I just remember looking at it going, that's everything that I don't want in a gun. But I shot one 5 years later.
Sure.
COVID pops off. I actually go in to buy a Connex box for $3,500 with gun racks in it, just for my property.
Yeah.
And ended up that night buying the whole company.
Holy Jesus, just like that, right?
It was I was in pharmaceuticals for about 10 years, and just wanted to get out of it, wanted to do something I enjoyed, provide jobs.
Sure.
Just something totally different. And that was like a split second lapse in judgment. I don't know what it was, but it happened, and it was an opportunity to make something.
That's really cool. So when you say pharmaceuticals, so is that like a legalized version of being a dope dealer, or? I'm just kidding. Come on, Aaron, laugh.
Kinda. I actually get that a lot, and a lot of times it's not funny.
I saw pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I was on the non-narcotic side.
Okay, so no opioids or nothing.
No.
I'm just kidding. You got to have a little bit of fun. Laugh, dude.
It's
fun.
Yeah. No,
you're a gun runner. No,
I am. Well, Mike Pappas of Dead Air.
Yeah.
One time said, you go from drugs to guns.
To guns.
You've literally hit rock bottom. And so maybe I have. Maybe, I don't know.
That's great. So from pharmaceuticals, you bought the company. And, so far what you've done with the company, for what little I know, I think, the style and, the articulation of, the AR platform, I think you've done a pretty damn decent job. And I know that
Thank you.
You're constantly trying to get an evolution on everything that you're doing, and some of the pieces, which we have a few here that we'll talk about at a later time, in the show. But I've for the last few seasons, we've shot your rifles in some of our matches, and they've shot lights out for us. So it's been, we've had a little bit of little teething issues here and there, but nothing major. But I've enjoyed these rifles, and if I shoot any more matches or I go out and I practice, I always, it's my go-to.
Yeah.
When you see my piece, then it's got the Marfione sticker hanging out the end of it. That's my go-to on the guns. But we've enjoyed them. We've enjoyed them to no end. And some of the pieces that you've done have been really exciting, to see, even the last one that you sent up, the little donut rifle. I should have brought the damn thing, but those are really fun.
That was a cool piece. Now I've appreciated the relationship we've had, and between you and Ray, what I love most is that you have no fear and no worries about telling me exactly what you guys think, feel, or experience, and the honest feedback is what I like. I thrive off of that. I want that more than anything, and you guys have been amazing about that.
No, we share what we know. I mean, it's hard because there's so many different adaptations, of the original, AR-15 or the Stoner design, if I'm saying that correctly. It's been the most iconic rifle, I think, probably the entire century, and one of my favorites. For me as a young man, it was always Colt this, Colt that, Colt AR, Colt Commando, and all those cool pieces. But to see all the different adaptations of where that thing is from, where it's come from, and to where it is today, and so many different companies, there's so many choices, and that's why I kind of dig. What you're doing with Cobalt is, you're getting dialed in like a laser, and I love it. I love it so far. So, some of the stuff, like I said, we always get to talk shop. We get to talk metals and coatings and everything else, and metallurgy and barrels and all these things, that make up the dynamics. But I think all in all, from my personal opinion, I think you're heading in the right direction, I think.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
We'll continue.
So tell us right now, so you got Cobalt. Tell us a little bit about the matrix of your, of your production, your manufacturing, Where's it based?
So we're based out of St. George, Utah, about an hour and a half north of Las Vegas. Desert environment, just nasty desert, kind of moon dust world. Yeah. It makes for a great environment for testing durability, and like if something's going to go down, it's going to go down there.
Yeah, I got that.
But from a manufacturing standpoint, when I purchased Cobalt, jumping from drugs to guns, I didn't want to jump into the manufacturing side too, because that's not my background, right. And take one kind of bite at a time on that stuff. So, but I also didn't want to go to other gun manufacturers that were doing a lot of stuff, and so I chose a couple places and settled on one that was just going to make parts. They didn't care what they were. They didn't come from necessarily the gun world, but that they could be focused on us and the journey that we started on. That is probably going to transfer over in the next 6 to 8 months, where we're going to be manufacturing all of our parts in-house.
Nice.
It'll give us a lot more freedom, and we'll be a lot less dependent on other people. And
that's a bitch, because that's what, how we've learned at Microtech is over the years, it's nice to have a little OEM, but in a world today of OEM, with all the, load of components that you have, you get one supplier that fails and you're not building guns or knives or anything else for that matter. So, yes, you in the manufacturing side of things, even, like you say, you don't come from that background. Trust me when I tell you, you could surround yourself with the people who do know. And, it's like anything else, as you say, being new into the manufacturing side of things, you're going to know whether or not you're getting bullshitted across the board or not. It's going to end up in the result of the end products.
Yes.
And when you have, call me a friend, which I consider us to be friends, but also industry partners, we're gonna tutelage you in as much shenanigans in manufacturing as you wish to get confused by or however. But that's the thing is when I don't know how else to explain it. We're still learning. Even as a company, I've been manufacturing componentry for 30 years, and I still learn something new constantly. But that flexibility is key. And even though you're going to have an upward battle with, equipment and personnel, it's almost impossible. It's like, and I hear it all over, no matter where I go, it's like, it's the same ring of tune. It's hard to get people to work, and it's hard to get people to, to get them in to see the same vision, but I think it's attainable. And for your side, it's a different dynamic because you're making a firearm. So you have to hold a certain amount of spec, you have to hold a certain amount of continuity and everything, but it's worth it. In the end, I think every struggle that you'll go through, if you could build, I recommend it, if you could build your, a core of the products in-house, it will give you, as an owner, the flexibility to kick up the gas, turn down the gas, but then you're less dependent on anybody out there. And then it's just a matter of material suppliers and other issues that you battle.
That we all face.
Yeah, because nobody's going to drive your ship and drive your boat like you. because regardless of how you fly it, it's your baby, it's your priority. And that's the way I see it. The only fucking company that's important in my life is mine, because all the people I have, and of course everything that it plays a part of that is also important. But you get other OEM shops might put you on the back burner, scheduling issues. Yeah, okay, yeah, we scrapped them all. We'll make them for you again. Yeah, it doesn't help you this week.
Yeah, got orders that have to get out.
It doesn't help you in the moment. So we run into the same issues. But for my thing, if I had to give you any level of advice, is number one, as you're hiring, I'm going to say, definitely get yourself the most badass freaking HR department that you can do. I think from that perspective, like I was telling my son, Tony, if you want to start building your team, you have a vision. So as my friend, I'm telling you, you have a freaking vision, but you need to get yourself the best HR person. So get that person first, and they will obtain you all these requirements that you need in headhunt, because you need to be focusing on driving that boat. And you can't be tending to the kids while going down the road at 80 miles an hour yelling at the kids back here, you're going to hit a pole, or you're going to hit another car, or you're going to hit some type of level of obstacle. And if I could have learned that much early on in my career, it would have been better off, rather than me fucking trying to micromanage every aspect of my business. It allows me now to focus. I have requirements. Let the headhunters get it done. So I'm going to say, if you have a good HR person, keep them, pay them double, do whatever you got to do. Melinda, if you're listening, don't get any freaking ideas. Ain't going anywhere. You got a contract.
So a couple things on that, like, yeah. The team that I have has been phenomenal, and there's people that have been there from the beginning and have seen the transition. And from an employee perspective, sure, like, things change, and we have to be dynamic, and the natural movement of business can create some frustration, some roadblocks and whatnot. And my guys that have stuck out with me stuck through it have been phenomenal. And like, as we all have a vision and we have a purpose, but sometimes that gets sidebarred, or we have to redefine it or narrow that in a little bit more. They've been able to adapt really well. The one thing, though, I do want to come back kind of before on is, you talked about us becoming friends and stuff. About a year and a half ago, you and I spent some time driving together out to a competition.
That's right.
And it was at that, like, the conversation that we had, like, yeah, there's a friendship, and I've looked up to you for,
geez, thanks,
damn near 20 years now.
Oh,
just because the knife side, as a high schooler.
I got you. Yeah.
But there was a mentorship that kind of was passed on, and you've always been that side of, I know that I can come to you and say, Tony, can you help me on this, metallurgy question, or this material question for something that's not even out there yet. This is a concept that I'm working on. You've taken that mentorship role, and it, like, there's a special place for me, for That's you, cool. I appreciate that. In my heart. So, like, thank you for that. But the friendship welcome. Side's good too.
But yeah, our friendship, we believe in what you're doing. There's a huge difference, because I try to give back. I've been mentored over the years myself in many different ways, but it makes it especially more meaningful when you have a connection with somebody, or you have even a friendship, but you have a like-mindedness of, you're listening to everything I'm saying, whether you use it or you don't. You take what you need, you leave the rest, or you take what you need and throw the rest out. That's fine. That's how it's done. But I like sharing what I know to an advantage, because we're seeing what you're doing. And what gets me excited, and it's the same dynamic of the people who mentored me, they would give me info on it, because I remember a few of them would be like, man, I'm going to teach you some cool stuff, but if you don't apply it, dude, just walk past my table next time you talk to me. Because I'm not going to waste my time, and some of the mentors were really hard that way. But when you showed them that you applied even just a fraction of what they were teaching, man, they dump everything on you. They're like, man, I want to share everything I know. I want to share all my experiences, because this is exciting. And we see that. We see from when you took over Cobalt to now to where you are today, you're doing some great things. So I think, anything I can do to be a part of saying, hey, I made some suggestion that you brought to the table, and I could see it in your finishes, I could see it in your builds, and anything else, man, that's exciting for me. That carries forward. So it's exciting to have those conversations, any conversation you have like that, you got X amount, bullshit, you got X amount that's actual real stuff, and you got X amount of stuff that you could use, then the rest of it's just filler that you toss out.
Yeah.
But it makes it equally exciting, So cool. But thank you, for that. I know you dig the blades, so you're a knife junkie. Like
always been a fan.
Yeah, the blades. And I know that I think, through Cobalt, you guys sell some pieces from here, from time to time. So I especially like doing the pieces where we pair them with your rifles. I wish we could do some more of that stuff.
That was, we definitely should, because that was exciting to see.
And I'm seeing more of that. I think even, freaking SHOT Show is such a pain in the ass going to that event, because it's like a big dog and pony show. But I think more of the interest we got this year was people who approached us to say, man, we'd love to have a knife, a knife gun combo mix. It kind of goes together really well. But, I always let Ray handle that side, because he knows the industry a whole lot better. And, I've often at times, I don't want to pair with people, again, that is not complementary to our brand. So we like doing things with you because it works for us. It's not even on big, super large scales, but it's effective. And you can get a couple pieces that look like they were kind of formatted on the same bench. I think it turns, that kind of level of creativity is exciting for the customers.
Yeah.
It's exciting for me. I've seen so many different, combos of things that are just like, oh, that don't look right. Oh, that definitely don't look right. And that definitely doesn't look. And then some of it goes, so
yeah, that's
some of I hope to, that level of work is, I'm hoping that we can coordinate a little bit more on that, going forward, hopefully.
Well, you guys are constantly slammed. Yeah. I have been running around like a chicken with not just my head cut off, but all kinds of other parts cut off.
Missing the wings, missing the legs. Yeah.
But we definitely need to do that on a larger scale.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when it's needed and you have builds, that'd be super,
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. So tell me, dude, what's the future for your company? If you could share anything, as of today, what would it be? Where's the targeted vision for Cobalt going forward?
Yeah, personally, I work in a 2 weeks out kind of scenario right now.
Well, the crystal ball.
Yeah, crystal
ball. Batteries don't go far.
Yeah.
The juice doesn't go too far anymore. I got that.
But as Cobalt, I don't, our rifle is built a little bit different. Mm-hmm. I think on the outside, it looks like a standard AR that is reminiscent, or at least looks like a lot of options out there.
Sure.
What I didn't want to do is introduce another option that is already out there and just be another AR that has my logo on it. And I think there's a ton of that in the market. And
there is.
So we're looking to make changes, to make improvements, innovations, and the innovation doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be extraordinary. It's like simple innovations make a big difference. And the core of what we believe in and the mission that we have is to make a product that is there to save a life. Gotcha. It can take a life. And sometimes to save a life, that is what it is. It's a responsibility that keeps me up at night. A lot of anxiety out of that, but
sure.
The direction that we're going is to improve upon the users that will depend on the platform or a platform similar to that, to give them something that's more consistent, more repeatable, and that's really going to just make them coming home a lot easier. I got you.
So what would you say would be I don't know how many models, because I can't keep up with it, but how many? I know you do a couple different configurations, but what's the core configuration for Cobalt right now?
Our CK Pro line is our baseline.
Yeah.
In the commercial market, it really only comes one way, and you've got a Geisley trigger, a Radian charging handle, ambi controls.
Sure.
Working on an ambi bolt catch right now and bolt release. They've been working on that for a little while, but we're close on a couple things, and that'll be coming out. But yeah, that CK Pro line is kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah, Cool. So if you had to explain, with us, we always have, our, what we consider to be our superpower strength, and then our, that kung fu side of things that we're really good at, and then, maybe the arch nemesis. If you had to say for your company, what would be Cobalt's superpower?
Our superpower.
You got to have, if you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I understand the firearm itself. I understand the actions that take place in a gun, and so being able to problem solve based off of what's going on and what the desired outcome is something that we wrap our heads around really well.
Yeah, cool. And then it's not like a weakness, but what is when I say not like a weakness side of a company, but there's always that like one thing that's the biggest pain in the ass for you. Like for us, we get it, man. It's anything that we outsource. There's a few areas that make my ass pucker because it could be the determining factor whether I stay in business or not. And one of them is coatings. So that's on our side. But for your end, what would it be? Is it a OEM part? Is it what is it?
Well, that's not one I get asked all the time. And I'm kind of going through
you
my
don't
head
have
going,
to answer it, but the thing
what do
about
I
it is,
choose?
it's just like, if you have one thing that during in your manufacturing, it could be like for us, I told you it's coatings. We battle coatings all the time, with the exception of everything that we do in house, and even the stuff we do in house, we have our challenges with. But it could be, from a logistical standpoint, it could be from a resin standpoint, whatever. I know we use a ton of the Cerakoting and stuff right now, but we do also anodized finishes. We do PVD coatings. I say fucking PVD is probably the worst for us because we have the biggest freaking fallout on anything we do at any of these companies. And I'm not afraid to say that either. I'd say maybe UPT probably has got the best lock time, but, Richter would probably fall in second, and then Ion Bond is absolutely the fucking worst. So... it's hard because that's something that, for Microtech, we're bringing that in. You get 50, 60 blades that got spots on them. We can't do anything with
right.
it. The customer's going to reject it. It's very, very simple. They're like, and then half the time is, why does this even happen? Because I get these companies, they come in and they're like selling me. I was like, well, we do everything for SIG. We do everything for this guy. Well, what's the big, why is half of my production the ones that's fucking falling out if you're doing all this freaking great shit? It's because I think half the time it has to do with the contamination, maybe level or whatever. They're running our blades with like John Deere tractor lawnmower blades or some shit like that, and it's not getting taken seriously or something like that. But for us, that's our biggest weakness.
Yeah, I think,
and that's why we're closing the loop. Luckily, we got a freaking unbelievable anodizer that really works really hard. We got 3 of them, but we have one in general. I'm not going to disclose, but they do an unbelievable, passionate job, and it's a family-owned business. And luckily, we have something like that available to us. But so
I think the vertical integration of waiting on others, where it wasn't right for Cobalt and for me personally.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the time to make as much in house as I'd like to. That has been kind of the Achilles heel, because anytime you don't have control over your product, you don't have control over anything, because without being able to put out a completed product,
you're fucking done, man.
You're done. Yeah. And so that has absolutely been the Achilles heel, and what we're working to. So just
basically an OEM standpoint, you want to try to be able to bring in a certain amount of componentry, and it could cover you a whole lot better.
Or make our own when we need to, as we need to. And I've got a really talented engineer who's he can take my chicken scratch and create what's in my head that is clearly not on paper as I draw it. And so we have a lot of cool capabilities with new designs and new ideas, and being able to offer that to others from an OEM standpoint is something that I'm really looking forward to being able to
So you want to be able to OEM for other companies too?
Absolutely.
Oh shit, yeah, man. So if I want to build like a Microtech freaking Ray Helms freaking commemorative rifle, I can do it when you get up to speed.
But you want to do that?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Then well, we can do that.
Hell yeah.
It'll cost.
And I'm not even
lot.
joking. Yeah.
No, I agree. That should absolutely be the next project.
Yeah. Because Ray's my Shidoshi, he's my Kung Fu master. Yeah. when it comes to shooting and everything else.
Yes. So I wasn't familiar with Shidoshi.
Yeah.
Shidoshi. But
I don't know what they call them in Korean, but
he's your kimchi.
Yeah, my kimchi.
Okay. Yeah.
We go eat a stone bowl every now and then, so it's similar. But
no,
we're like sake. Sake is a little Japanese, but it's good. But that would be dope. So yeah, from an OEM standpoint, it'd be great. I mean, we get a lot of approach on that sort of thing. We do a little bit of work for some of the other knife manufacturers out there, but not much. Yeah. I mean, we have a hard time, keeping up with our own production, let alone, but I'll do some stuff for my son's company, Heretic, and a few others out there that I feel that like we can help from time to time. But no, that's kind of really cool. I guess once you get up to a capacity, that's the thing. Once you understand the capacity where you're at and your consumption, but yeah, if you could offer something to the industry in general, I think from a reliable standpoint, I think it would be welcomed. It goes hand in hand with, again, my advice is anything that you build, if it's good, high quality stuff and it's you're an accountable manufacturer, that could stand behind its products, I think it would sell well, regardless of what it is. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of, it seems like all the time there's new knife companies breeding up every show I go to. It's like, oh, this guy, and they come and they go. But it's good to see some of the innovation and stuff like that. And I think it's the same on the gun companies. I've seen so many new faces on the suppressor side, on the rifle side, on bullets and everything else. It seems like every day every week there's a new company building. We're building AR-15s or building something, so they got to be getting their shit from somewhere. But yeah, if you, just the manufacturing side, if you're open and you're, flexible, like I said, having that capability is strong. I'd say from a strong standpoint, Microtech, throughout the years, we've always kept flexible. Some of our equipment is maybe a little dedicated towards certain processes, like, okay, we use the belt sanders, but we do so much, it's limited. Yeah, we got them set up for sharpening, serrating, stuff like that. But, our milling capacity, our turning capacity, we've done everything from back in the earlier days when we were struggling a little bit. We did gun parts. We did, we did stuff for the firearms industry. We did stuff for the dental implant type stuff on our Swiss. We did a little bit of medical. We did a little bit of aircraft. We did a little bit of car parts, whatever we can muster up as a side. Because of course, once we did get lathe capability, it outperformed our capacity, as a company, for making screws and parts and buttons. Now it's just like we got 40 of these freaking machines and we're still not keeping up. So there's a different perspective, but we haven't forgotten that in the pinch, if we had to, if we're making good high quality componentry, if something happened on my end where I had to go out and become an OEM for other companies, I could do it. And I can keep my people and my families fed, so that's important. That's
super important. And building that reputation of quality and accountability to the craft itself, not having to rely solely on that. Yeah, I think we can make that, but knowing that when those customers come in, I want you to make this part, you can be a benefit to them and to not only make the parts that they want, but do it in a way that is both economical and, at the end of the day, you're putting your name on it as well. Yeah. And I think that gets lost a lot. And bigger companies, they're run by CEOs and, people that don't have the roots in the company. That's one thing that, you being at the head of Microtech still gives that confidence. It's less the fact that you've got a team that most likely can handle everything day to day, but you're still running that ship, and it makes a consumer, because I'm not the biggest, mostly because I'm not as wealthy as I'd like to be, but I'm a consumer of your product. Like I'm a decent Microtech owner and lover. Yeah. But a lot of that comes from where it is at the top and the quality that you want to put your name behind.
And we try. And that's something I got to say. I mean, we're constantly trying to strive to take the criticisms and to try to make better products. Our ship moves relatively fast, but, we're always trying to be, conscious to the quality control. I mean, little tiny things slip every now and then, but, one thing is confident, even from a standpoint of my own company, that we have a well-rounded enough staff. I mean, if it falls on us, we're certainly not going to, penalize a customer for something a fault of ours. Now, we get some stupid shit that happens with our knives. Trust me, dude, and I'm sure you probably will with these guns. I remember for our small, time that we had building firearms, I mean, we seen it all, man. I mean, we seen everything from botched up frickin' conversions to guys trying to modify their guns to, using the wrong kind of ammunition, you name it, man, improper cleaning, just everything across the board that you could possibly do to damage a firearm. I seen it, and it was horrific.
Yeah.
It was horrific. And I think it was bad on the knife side, but it's just like on the gun side, I could only imagine.
Oh, yeah. Kind of clear your whole desk off and like get some pens and paper and, okay, now explain to me what you tried to do again.
Oh, my God. Our guys they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, and they're like, your gun sucks. It can't hit anything. And it's just like you bring it in, and it's just like, because, we test fired everything. I mean, could we test fire everything at 100 yards on that kind of level of gun? I mean, it was a bullpup rifle. It wasn't really designed for that. But most of our good shooters, including Wendell at the time, he could shoot a 1-inch circle with a damn rifle, with a decent ammunition. And that's pretty good coming from a bullpup.
Yeah.
He'd sandbag that bitch up. Wendell was a really good shot. And, we never claimed the guns being sub-MOA or anything like that. It was a bullpup. It was a patrol rifle, could it shoot inside a 2-inch circle with no issues? I think it could, but its dynamics, and it had to be due to the barrels that we were using. I think we were very conscious on our headspace and barrels and everything that we did. But just running into all kinds of just nightmares with guys trying to modify their shit. That was a trick. Mm-hmm. And then guys making aftermarket parts for our guns, and then they blame it on us when they broke, so. And we had our own teething issues, but nevertheless, I can only imagine on that side, because there's so many different accessories. Like, think about the rifles, at least on the AR platform side. I mean, how many different magazine choices do you have to choose from these days?
I couldn't even venture to
I know,
guess.
But can you guarantee that your gun's going to run with every single one of them?
I do my damnedest to find out. I make sure. Like the amount of mags that I don't run personally, but I run in the guns, absolutely try.
I'm not afraid to say that I love Lancers. I
knew you were going to bring that one up.
Yeah. Well, I like Lancer mags. You know, that's again, I was taught to use Lancers, and I've never had any real issues. We've used some of the Magpul products too, which are not bad products either. And, we know that there are some other ones that are pretty good too. But, for the competitions and everything that we've run, we've run either the Lancers or, if we had to do like something like a high count, we would use the drum from Magpul, which I thought we've had pretty good.
Yeah, you should.
We've had pretty good, not very much issues with those. And then, of course, I'll go back to it, and I swear by these mags. I made a 40-round, composite magazine out of a Raid L that was a 40-rounder. It was the best magazines I've ever run, and I've run those things in everything, and I've never had an issue. They're ugly, but they work.
Which is a conversation we need to pick up at some point.
Yes.
We started.
You should. You know what? You should take those tools and you should run with those, because I think they could be articulated for your particular setup. And, if you style it around what we did with that 40-rounder, I think it would be a great addition to your line.
So stay tuned, because the only two people that I've ever heard that run Lancers as much as you and Ray do, I did listen. Stay tuned.
Okay, cool. Well, like I said, there used to be this thing, Ray can get mad at me or whatever, but there's this little meme that shows two little kids in class, and the one kid's going, it's like a 2 plus 3 on the board, and the kid's trying to figure it out, and his friend goes, 5. So the kid puts his hand on the board, and he outlines the freaking thing on the thing like that. So I do what the hand says.
Yeah.
When the hand says use Lancers, that's what I use.
That's
I don't even second guess it.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point. My problem is I listen to a lot of people these days.
Yeah.
And so my drawings get really wonky.
Take what you need and leave the rest.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their opinions, but like I said, it's got to be difficult, on your side of building an AR style platform rifle, especially not only just mags are, and mag manufacturers are countless, but think of all the different triggers. Think of all the different bolt carrier groups. Think of all the barrel groups. Think of everything that somebody could drop on your gun that it's like, if it don't work, it's your fault.
Yes. And you should see my desk, my toolbox in my office, which is like a giant rolling toolbox, my cabinets, my shelves with buckets of just crap where people walk in and they're going, what in the world has happened here? I'm going, I got feedback. Like I got someone telling me this. And so I'm going to go, I'm not one to just like, there are people that I can hear what they say and I can almost fully trust it and just, I'll go with it. You and Ray sit in that category, but at the same time, I also need to have the full conviction of testing it out and seeing it myself so that I can better solve those problems. And so, yeah, I've got a ton of crap.
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, when you get people, I mentioned Ray a lot and stuff like that. I mean, it's just when you do that diabolical, testing, non-biased testing, non-biased testing, and get all that data, and you come up with the figures. I mean, there's some stuff I would use, there's some stuff I would never use, and it's just based on the data that you got guys out there that live and eat and breathe this stuff, and half the stories you hear on the internet, I don't know how much of that is true or whatever else, but, coming from the real world experience of what we know works and some things that we don't know that work, it's always good to be innovative, but, even for myself, I've engineered myself out of many projects, it's like, oh, wow, check this out. And it's just like, nobody got it, or our team couldn't build it, or we dimensioned ourselves out of a job and our machinist just couldn't. It's like, I can't hold 1/10. I could walk over here and, temperature of the hand is going to change it. It's just like, so just having a better understanding of what kind of works and the dynamics of it. And that's what I'm going to say. Consistency is key. You could be continuously innovative, but I think it's like anything else. It's good when you have, some rock solid innovation that you can continue to build on, and that's the thing. I hope for your company and for the sake of, the mission that you have with Cobalt, that you guys will find that sweet spot. And I think you're really getting there, and then you find it and you dig it in and say, hey, look, this is why we're pushing this. And this is the features, the key things that we feel is going to be the benefit to what you say. Because there are so many options in that platform and so many, I look at accessories, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh my God, that's really cool. It's like, shit, I just bought this and I got to throw this away. And it's like, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's just like every now and then you just got to kind of sit back and go, okay, this is where I'm at. You got to put that pencil down. You know what I mean? You got to put the pencil down and you got to get some product out the door,
Yeah.
Not to a detriment, but you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
When you got a good design, I remember, a neat story when Ray and I were working on the suppressor. Jesus Christ. I mean, we'd go. And then all of a sudden it'd be like 10 steps backwards. And it's just like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah.
And it's like, go back. And it was just like a constant challenge. And that's how we were able to develop a really interesting dynamic with a silencer, suppressor, is that constant challenge back and forth, and not, but there once was a time where we finally got to that point. It's like, pencils down, man.
Yeah.
Pencils down, maybe you could, who knows how far we could have taken it, but we were already into it for so long. And we finally got to a point where it was time to put the pencil down and say, here it is.
Seal it up, deliver it.
Seal it up and deliver it.
If you want to continue working on it,
Yeah.
And that's where we are with the CK Pro line.
Yeah.
It's at its maturing state where
cool.
Any changes that come will be, they won't be complete platform based. So like
sure.
Buying a Cobalt today, if there are changes, if there are tweaks, they'll be super easy to integrate throughout. Because I'm not gonna kind of just stop and sit on things. That's not in my nature.
No, not at all. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
People want to have the confidence that whatever they're buying today can end up into a retrofit down the line.
Absolutely.
It's like, because machinery is the same way for me. It's like, this is the latest and greatest. We buy it, and then 6 months later, something else comes out, and it's like, oh, those are obsolete. It's just like,
yeah,
you got to be careful with that.
It's the danger of buying a TV on Black Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. So, brother, I know we talk about bourbons. I think today's show is sponsored by Blanton's. Yeah.
It's a good one to be sponsored by.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's been kind of one of my go-tos, and I find it from time to time, and it's good.
Seeing in there, you found it on time to time a lot.
I found it a few times.
Yeah. No, that's
some of them are gifts, some of them are neat. I travel a lot, so it's just like you still got theirs, but especially like when I travel. Last time I went to Europe. I'm in the what the hell is it? The no duties freaking store or whatever else.
Yeah.
And they had some of the limited Blantons in there. They're like freaking $60 a bottle. I'm like, how many of these could I buy? It's like,
I travel at the wrong times.
Oh my God, right? I seen that. I was like, I about died. I was like, I got to get a couple of these.
Yeah.
So I think I bought 4 of them. I ended up, I probably shouldn't say this. I brought one back, but I gave them away as gifts, at the CCAC show in Paris. I give one to Yvonne and some of the other guys. And of course, what do? They break them out and we drink them all right there at the show, with cheese and Danishes I'm sorry, croissant. No. But,
in Paris, yeah. I think that's how you say it there too.
Yeah, so. I think so.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I do have a couple of your rifles back here. I have one that you built me that I used for 3-gun, and then I have one. I think it was 1 out of 4. I think you did some type of raffle. Am I saying that right? Or was it raffle?
It was, for the raffle for Memorial 3-gun.
Yeah,
where we did the combo.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll share that. Tell us a little bit about this rifle. The coatings came out really good, but what a beautiful piece. And there was I think we did a matching combat Troton to match. Just a beautiful, beautiful rifle.
We did, and I think my favorite part about this whole kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a collaboration, but just a kind of off the cuff thing that we did. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the coating and the knife was done at the same time by the same people, and they just came out super. I mean, it was really cool the way they came out. But the coolest part was how the gun has the Microtech logo on it.
Hell yeah!
And the knife has the Cobalt logo.
I know, it's so awesome.
And the serial numbers matched on all of them. And that was to me, we talked earlier about the different guns and, the historical value of firearms based on, the era that they came into, what they did. So that kind of stuff means a lot to me. And being a lifelong Microtech fan, just this type of stuff is so, it's rare in life that you're able to bring something from a younger time. Like I wouldn't say childhood, because
sure,
my love started in 17, 18 years old in high school when I knew that stuff. But just an unbelievable experience.
That's a cool piece. No joke.
Super cool piece. It turned out amazing. This one was a 13.7, and mid-length gas system. It has our RCB KM, which is
very cool.
Our version of a. It's kind of a hybrid comp.
Well, that'll take which suppressor or suppressors?
Dead air, the chemo mounting system.
Cool.
We also make some for Huxworks or OSS in their torque lock system. Okay. And we're working on others right now.
Dude, what is your favorite suppressor if you had to just pull one out? If Aaron came out swinging, what kind of suppressor are you going to have on your rifle? I want to know. I mean, in all fairness, you built a fucking comp for the dead air stuff, so.
Yeah, I actually, dead air on the dead air suppressors that I run the most they're all direct thread. They're on my SPRs.
Gotcha.
The Nomad TI. Yeah. For 5.56, it's really hard to beat the Huxworks Flow 5.56
really?
K. It's a 5-inch suppressor that has no increase in carrier speed. You don't get any gas in your face. It's super quiet, which
what do you mean by super quiet? Like my ears are ringing, my ears are bleeding, or I got to wear ear protection over top of it?
Pew Science did a study on it. It's at their third-party group. They did a study and said it was the quietest 5.56 suppressor at the shooter's ear. So from a shooter's perspective, it's stupid quiet.
That means I want one, and I'm gonna have to check this out.
You absolutely should.
Okay.
And you know what? I don't make a suppressor mount for CGS yet, but I've been playing with a lot of their things. Not the commercial product that they have, but kind of stuff that's coming out. And the stuff that they're doing in the 3D printing world is it's mind-boggling. It's
been a game changer, I think, for a lot of the guys doing that kind of work, because traditionally back in the day, back in the 90s, like, you know, I go back to my, you know, short time at Knights Armament, you know, had an opportunity to work with some really good guys. And yeah, I mean, guys like Doug Olson back in the day the guy was so fucking innovative. But the problem was his innovation couldn't be paired with how we were machining things at the time. I think at one time they even looked at maybe possibilities of doing some casting, but even then the cross sections. But imagine if a guy like Doug Olson could have had the technology of today in manufacturing. Holy Jesus, who could have imagined what he could have come up with, because his designs were so unique and so off level. It set the precedence and the standard for everything that's being done today. You know, so there's been so many pioneers on that side of the thing. And you know, you look at, you know, guys like, you know, Kevin, you know, from Q. I idolize him because he's the king when it comes to this type of innovation and suppressors.
Doing it a long time.
Doing it a long, long time. And, you know, you think of anybody that, you know, had to really kick and scratch to get, you know, where he was today by being innovative and getting it done and, you know, coming up with really sound stuff, you know, and taking it to the next level. But, you know, simplicity is the hallmark of any fine designs, but, you know, Kevin was a staple on that side of that work. I mean, not taking away anything from any of the designers out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you look at what Knights did, you know, with the stuff that they did very early on and even today. But, yeah, the 3D printing allows you to do cross sections and some things that you can't do. You can't machine it.
Yeah.
You just simply can't machine it. Or if you could, you couldn't do it easily. So a lot of the overflow type things and a lot of I look at them and they look like turbine engines and shit and stuff like that. You know, it's not impossible, but the 3D printing does lend itself now to doing some unbelievable things. And I think that's what you're going to see in the future to come, is that technology is also morphing at a geometric rate. You think of what, you know, back in the day when I was a kid, you know, and you'd say, I want the Uzi with the laser sights, you know, you'd get this big old freaking laser module on your gun with a battery backpack, and now it has the same fucking wattage as one you buy at CVS, and a pen with the two little, you know, things you stuff in your ears batteries, you know, the hearing aid batteries, and it's the same wattage as it was back then. You know, so it's, you know, the more for that technology and everything else, I think it's going to be exciting.
We're less and less limited, and the innovation and the technology allows for products that physics has less and less effect on than we did even 10 years ago. And it's only going to get better and better. So the industry as a whole, you know, and I speak to firearms, but this is across the board.
Yeah, just like, in general. Yeah,
the future is we're progressing at an unbelievably fast rate.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be exciting to see what happens, you know, pending any impending doom or COVIDs or Martian landings or whatever happens next. I don't know what to expect anymore, but no, just the, you know, advancements in manufacturing technologies and everything else. You know, and that's what I hope just in general for our industries here at home, is I'm hoping that, you know, we can continue to get the next generations of people excited about manufacturing, because, you know, you go anywhere else and they have total colleges that are all about manufacturing over in the Asian sector and everywhere else. And, you know, for here at home, it's hard to even get a freaking vocational school interested, and they're like using outdated equipment and outdated techniques and everything else. But I think if we can get that next generation excited about making stuff, you know, I think it's going to be key. So it's going to be very curious to get outside of my shell even yet. And that's a big thing for Microtech that I'll share with you later on this year, is it's really taking an unconventional approach to even our production to say, you know, how do we take our organization to the next level? You know, it's taken me being extremely, extremely open-minded, because I was cut on the old cloth, you know, back in the day. You know, and I have ways of doing things that I've done, but now I've looked at the possibilities of skinning that cat totally differently. And it's exciting to me, because it's now allowing me to better understand the capability that we have within. I mean, we got some unbelievable designers and some great visionaries within, you know, the confines of Microtech. And it's just, if we could just get the fucking manufacturing wrapped around these guys' ideas, whether it be Ray's department or, you know, the guys in engineering, my sons, whoever, you know, I got people that are getting exciting coming to me with ideas, and it's just all a matter of time. So if we can get this, you know, the space, and get our core organized a little bit better. It'll be interesting to see where Microtech goes over the next couple of years. Well, it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear that.
Yeah. So cool. We have this one here, and then of course I'll show you. This is my competition rifle. I've used this in, a fair amount of competitions. It's served me quite well. Everybody laughs at me because I use a Elcan Spectre optic, but for me, it works, especially for hitting targets out to, 600, maybe 700. I'd be pushing it, but anything within that.
And for building upper body strength.
Well, I love that one. It works for me. That's
the coolest part about guns for me is that with so many options and like it's more of a you do you. And
well, my eyes work good, the glass is good. When I compared weights against Vortex and all that other stuff, they were all within a couple ounces. So for me to be able to flip a lever going from 1.5 to 6 works for me. And then it has an aiming reticle in there that works very, very well with the type of shooting that I do. I use a certain type of round and everything else, and it kind of has a tendency to coincide. So,
and they definitely build a great product.
Yeah, it makes up for a rapid acquisition for me. Rather than trying to figure out the dope in my head, I do enough of that. When we shoot any kind of long range, which is always fun. But for that, I don't have to think a whole lot about it. You give me targets out to 300, 400, 500, and it's just like bam, 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 bam. So it's kind of like it's probably one of the better reticles I like. Low light gathering and everything else. It seems to work.
Yeah. You've got the RCB KM on that one too.
Yes, sir.
Do you run a lot of dead air suppressors?
No, actually, in all honesty, my go-tos are Surefires.
Gotcha.
Yeah, on air type platforms, just because the mounting system's robust to me. The flash hiders are robust. Yeah, a lot of people argue and they're like, well, this one isn't the quietest, but I know for a fact it's never going to fail.
So I will tell you this, their legal department is robust as well.
Yes, they extremely are. Very protective. And I got to admit, I am a Surefire super geek. I love Surefire products. And, if it's on one of my, we use if Ray and I are shooting a match and he's shooting heavy or I'm shooting minor, I'll shoot one of your Cobalt rifles with a 20-inch barrel, and I always shoot Thunder Beast. So the Thunder Beast suppressor on any of our long range guns, that's where I stay. I don't shoot anything else. But when it comes to smaller carbines that I gotta if I gotta put down any volume of fire, the Surefire seem to have always been very, very good to me, and very consistent, very, very consistent. And like the advanced armament stuff, I love that stuff too, but I don't think they make it. Without Kevin being there, it's not the same.
Gotcha. Yeah,
for a fact. And not taking away anything from any of these other companies, it seems like there's so many developments even just this year.
Oh my gosh, the number of suppressor
even
companies.
at whether it be SHOT Show or I think Ray went to the suppressor thing, the CanCon, and he's like, oh my God, there's all these new companies, there's all this new stuff, and it's just so hard to keep on top of it. I think it's just that technology, these guys are just getting extremely innovative. So it's going to be neat to see, what comes up with next. But
and I try to stay super agnostic with accessory companies, whether it be optics, suppressors, things like that, because there's always things changing, and I don't want to ever be that guy that limits the company and limits our customers to say, well, if you want to run our coolest product, you have to run this company's coolest product too, especially when you talk about a $200 tax stamp and the wait time to get it.
What a pain in the ass, right? Yeah.
If we've got a cool piece of technology or a cool product out there, I want you to be able to run a variation of that for what you already have. And that's why we've kind of spread across to say, we're going to try to make it a muzzle device for every popular suppressor out there.
That's kind of the way to go. That's a big undertaking because there's so much, there's so many good different things, and it's hard if you can get manufacturers to work with you as a platform manufacturer. You would think that they would work with you to say, hey, look at, like making that comp or that device that holds the dead air, if they would say, look, these are the things you need to pay attention to when you're making this device.
Yeah.
Been
there.
Yeah. I mean, Surefires are different. They make them, and if any, I don't think there's any other aftermarket accessories to mount a Surefire. I don't believe so.
They've never done that.
Yeah, they're not gonna fly with that. But yeah, it's just like thread pitches and stuff like that. For when that was all popular, I remember, Kevin sharing a ton of great information out there, because back in the day, man, it was hard to figure out, thread pitches and thread dimensions and everything else to get to mount the stuff on your guns. But now it's kind of almost a standard norm. But
yeah.
So many great options, and it's fun. But I'm one of those kind of creatures of habit. I like certain things, and when I get to somewhere I like to do it, it's really, really, really hard to convince me otherwise to go in a different direction, unless I have my shooting partner or Ray advises me, but he always gives me a logistical reason why we need to change. It's like when I first got into shooting, I was like, I knew a little bit about MilDot, and then we went to Mil Radian or whatever else, and it's just like I looked at this thing and looked at this reticle. I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking learn this, and now I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Right.
Mil is the way to go, and that's where I'll stay, and nobody's gonna convince me otherwise. At least at this stage of the game, unless Ray comes in and goes, hey, this is what we're doing next, and this is why. I like certain stuff. Yeah, so the Lancer mags and other things that I do, it's kind of kooky, but I love it. And they run great in your guns, by the way.
It's just that tight fit sometimes.
It's like anything else, we've had... When we made mags, which was a humbling experience, trying to get them to work in everybody's ARs were practically impossible, because the specifications on the mag walls varied.
Yep.
And you get them to fit in HKs, you'd get them to fit in Colts, you'd get them to fit in Bushmasters, you'd get them to fit in all these guns that we knew in our time, but then they wouldn't fit in, this one, I won't mention names, this one I won't mention names, we're all over the frickin' place. And it's like, well, it posed a challenge for us. It was the same thing when we modified the STG 556 platform to go to an AR mag platform. It was like, that's when all my problems started, because guys would use mags from, they expected it to work with every mag that they can possibly muster up. And mags are like anything else, man. It's the feeding device for your gun. And if they don't work right, they're not going to work in most rifles.
Yeah.
Just like ammunition, I can't expect these rifles. I look at like your guns, the ones that you make, those are the top of the line, and they deserve the best fuel that they can get. So I'm going to always gravitate towards the best ammunition I can find. I'm not going to be running Wolf, lacquer cases, freaking shit in my rifles and expect it to run flawlessly all the time.
I expect them to, though.
If you can get that to happen, bro, that's great. But the guys do need to do intermittent cleaning
absolutely.
On their guns. I mean, that's something that I've always learned and always know. I mean, we would shoot a match. There wouldn't be an evening that wouldn't go by that these guns wouldn't be cleaned completely and thoroughly.
Yeah. What I do with my guns is not what everyone else should do with them.
I understand, but I'd say for a majority of the stuff that could work, it can. But
yeah.
Aaron, anyway, thank you for everything, and thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit of the side of your stories. And it's always fun to talk shop and to talk shit about this sort of stuff. But we commend you on on your the drive that you have and bringing Cobalt to the next level. So we definitely look forward to seeing what you came up with next. I love your stuff. Equally have a ton of respect for you and what you're trying to do. So
thank you.
Anything I can do to assist on my end, I will. At any given time, you have that, and that's my guarantee today. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. Take a look at Cobalt and what they have coming up next. Again, this is stuff that we use and we trust, and we're going to continue to use. So stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe.